Yo, what's up? I'm Adam.
And this is Zoe.
And a while back, Patrick did a video on DAX Query View for Power BI inside of Microsoft Fabric. And Zoe is coming to tell us about all the cool things that have come since then, from Live Connect to other things that I think Mac users will super love. Zoe, before we get into it, I know you've been on a video before on GynaCube, but just let folks know who you are and what you do.
My name is Zoe Douglas. I am a PM over in the product group for Power BI and Fabric.
All right, Zoe. So I'm curious to know, what are all the new things that came with DAX Query View? What can I do with it?
So obviously you can write DAX queries with DAX Query View, but you can also use Copilot. When we first released DAX Query View, it's in desktop.
Well, wait, hang on. Enough of all this talking, Zoe. Okay. You know, we like to do it here on GynaCube. Let's do what? Let's head over to your machine.
All right, so in Power BI Desktop, I have my import semantic model. If you've seen my portfolio, this is actually one of the ones I created a few years back. And I can use DAX Query View over here on the left nav. It has a kind of a sample DAX query that's always generated. And I can use quick queries, and I can create measures and all this kind of stuff, right? So I can come into my product table, I can do a quick query, I can show the top 100 rows of any of my tables. I can even get down to a single column and say, okay, what's in this column, right? And if you want to get kind of some column statistics, you can do that as well. So now I can see that there's, 330 rows, all this great stuff, right?
Banana.
One thing we didn't support when we first came out was Live Connect, which means you couldn't do these with your direct lake semantic models or the models that you already have published in the service. But now, let me go back to the report view so I can show. So I'm live connected to my direct lake semantic model, and I have DAX Query View. Now, the difference here is instead of saving these queries with the model like it would before when I had my model open, I'm not editing the model. I'm only editing the reports. It'll actually save with this report. And again, I can just run my DAX queries, and I can still do many of the things I just showed you, right? So I can come in here and I can do my quick queries, and I can also go ahead and get down to an individual column, write those queries for me here. Now the difference here is because I'm in Live Connect, I can't see the model measure definitions. That doesn't mean I can't actually create measures. You can create report measures. So if I come in here and I say quick queries, but I only get evaluate, right? So I can get the costs here, and I don't have those kind of code actions here that will let me define it. But what I can do is I can still define a measure. So I can do costs. I know, I do this one a lot. Times 2 equals costs.
No, you're just that good at DAX.
Let's go ahead and bring that in here. Cost times 2. You'll see it's actually an IntelliSense, right? So this is not in my model, and I can run that and I can see that it's happening here. Now we don't have a quick action to kind of save this as a report measure. But if I do actually go ahead and create a report measure for this, costs times 2. Now if I come back, so now I see it here, and you'll have this quick query that is now defined with references and evaluates. And this is really key because this report measure doesn't actually exist in the model. It needs to have that full context. It needs to actually define it here before it can actually use it in a DAX query. The DAX query is running on the model, not the report. So Live Connect's pretty cool. It's a little bit different than if you're directly editing. But we actually now have DAX Query View in the web. So let's go over to my workspace where I have the lovely task flow that I use to find my items. So let's go to my direct lake semantic model. And then if I open this guy, I have open data model where I can go and edit my direct lake semantic model. But I can also simply write a DAX query. Now this DAX Query View for the web is only for model authors. So people who have write permission to the semantic model. So that means I can come in here and I can run a query and see the results just like I could in the Live Connect. But now I actually can utilize all those other things that we could when we were just in that import model in desktop. Right, so I can define all the measures in this model. I can format them. And we also included this update model with changes button. So I can do multiple ones. I just did one right now. All works in the web. The only thing that's different between the web and desktop is you're not saving these queries anyway.
So that means once I close the browser, they're just gone.
Exactly. Here we can also still use Copilot, right? So I can have Copilot suggest maybe some new measures for my direct lake semantic model. And we can also write a DAX query or just explain a DAX topic, just to kind of get you started with the DAX Copilot. It has all the new various things we have in desktop. One of them is you can run it before keeping it. So I ran this query and I can keep it afterwards. Now to see the diff, you have to start with kind of a query. So let's start with this guy. And we could say remove country, right? Remove country from this query. You can also ask it to explain something in the DAX query. You can say, why are you using summarized columns? What is order by doing? But here you can see that lovely diff, right? So it's going to remove a couple columns here. It's changed the top thing here. So it's removing country. And it's also removing country from the order by. I can also conversationally edit this, right? So I don't have to continually select it all and do it again. I can say add in average profit per order, right? So I can have it actually create another measure into this DAX query. Now the diff is not going to show the diff between the intermediate changes. It's only going to show the diff from the original DAX query and this final result, right? So it's added that new measure. I can run it, see if it's going to produce what I want. And I can just click Keep Query when I'm ready. So it's created 4 measures. I can see the output. I validate. It looks pretty good to me. And I can actually save all these measures back to my model with one click.
I'm kind of thinking ahead to what people will write in the comments. With you creating all of these amazing experiences in the web, why do I even need Power BI Desktop anymore?
That's a great question. So I get this comment on my LinkedIn a lot too. Oh, is desktop going to die? Desktop's going away. No, we're going to have desktop. And we're going to have web. We want to have that experience, just like you have in Office, right? You have Word on your desktop and you have Word in the web. We want to have these experiences no matter where you want to work and how you want to work.
And ideally too, like if we're doing the authoring in the web and we're using Power BI Desktop and we're taking advantage of even like the Git integration, now those changes are kept in sync and merged and all that other great stuff that Git provides.
And that's a fantastic point, actually. So this is not for your consumers just yet. Right now, we're just doing model authors. So this is people who have access to write these to these semantic models. If we're doing a read run, they'll still be able to kind of create measures just like you saw in Live Connect, but we can do it in a safe place where we're not modifying the semantic model. And this really opens it up for Direct Lake, right?
Yes.
So Direct Lake, you couldn't be editing in desktop. Now you can actually edit it in the web, but you can also now have access to DAX Query View. On that Git integration part, like people are like, oh, it's very scary to modify my model. So if I made a mistake, say I deleted everything, I have this one already in source control. So I can come in here and it'll go ahead and do that diff, right? And it says that I've made the changes to that directly. So if I wanted to undo all the measure changes I just made, I can just click this and I can click undo, and then my model is back to before I started using DAX Query View. And of course, it will also work for your import models, right? So I have an import model here, and now you'll see when I come here, it's actually grayed out. So you first have to go turn on the preview setting for editing in general. And then when you come back, now you can write DAX queries on that import semantic model as well in the web.
That's crazy. There's a lot of cool things you can do with it. I know it's Patrick's big feature. Like he dreams about it.
I dream about it too.
Yeah.
Adam, I don't know if you've heard about this OneLake integration, right? So I have my import semantic model here, and I've actually turned on OneLake integration, which is really easy, by the way. I just go to the settings, and down here, there is a toggle, right? So I just toggle this on, I refresh the semantic model, which I've done, and now it's OneLake integration, which means we have a copy of this data in the OneLake. So what can you do with this OneLake integration, and how does this tie in with DAX Query View, right? So I can write a DAX query on my import semantic model. For now, let's just do kind of top 100 of internet sales, and I can copy this. Now we can go to here. I have created a lakehouse, and I have shortcutted to those tables that are in my import semantic model, right? So it's very simple. You just go to get new shortcut, you go to OneLake, and here you can see that AdventureWorks import, and I can bring in those tables as shortcuts, right? So I already have date and internet sales. Let's just go ahead and bring in customer, just so I can show you just how quick this actually runs, right? So now I have these tables, exactly what I had in my semantic model. If I had calculated columns, they would actually show here. If I had calculated tables, they would also be inputted into OneLake. All right, so now I have that. I went to my notebook, and I've already started this notebook here, and there's a couple ways I can access this. Even without the OneLake integration, I can still get some information out of that semantic model using SymPy. So here I have SymPy, I'm connected to the semantic model, and I'm actually running that DAX query, right? So I have this evaluate date. I can change it to my other query here, top N. That's the one I just ran over there. I can run this and see the results here, but also I can run the data directly on these tables that I have OneLake integrated, right? And I can use SQL. So if you want to use SQL, if you want to use DAX, you're covered either way. Now, the benefit with the DAX one, of course, is I could actually write a DAX query that has additional measures or calculations, and those would actually be brought in to the query, whereas you would not be able to do those in a SQL query.
All right, Zoe, that's amazing. I love DAX Query View. It's exciting that it's in the web now. People that use a Mac, you can rejoice now and take full advantage of the DAX Query View. Zoe, is there anything you want to ask folks watching the video?
Yeah, so we have a share feedback in DAX Query View in the web and DAX Query View in desktop. We read your feedback. We really appreciate you taking time to let us know what you think and what you would like us to include in kind of future releases of DAX Query View. We haven't enabled DAX Query View for kind of read-only audiences. That is something we do plan on doing.
So definitely share that feedback with inside of DAX Query View. Also, let us know in the comments below what you think. Have you been using it? Do you prefer desktop versus web? Are you on a Mac? Like, let us know all those things down in the comments below. Zoe, thank you so much for taking time to share all the great info. And then thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you in the next video.